Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. So good. Hello, Louise. Hello, Mary Beth. Good to see you. We are recording. Yeah, we're recording. So got lots of people who are coming back and attending on the recording. I am Michelle Cooper, the owner, founder of Alchemy Accounting and Bookkeeping, and I am really pleased to welcome you guys to our monthly client workshop, which we open up to non-clients as well. And I like to bring in amazing guests, and sometimes I do them myself, but when I meet amazing people doing awesome things, I like to bring them in and share them with the world. And so I wanted to share with you guys Angie and Gitte. I met them. I was a guest on their podcast and just really blown away by what they do. Really, it's all about using live virtual masterclasses to grow your business. And I think we've all kind of understand the concept of masterclasses and how they work. But I think sometimes people struggle to make them work in their business. That's what I find in talking to my clients, right? So this workshop today is going to be totally run by these two amazing ladies. And really, they talk about revolutionizing the way you grow and scale your business. So they are our expert guests. They are from Elite Virtual Stages. That's their company. And together they've helped countless business owners break through income ceilings using their unique 7-figure framework. And now they're going to share some of their secrets with you. In particular, we're going to talk about how to transform your audience, right? Diving into the art of transformational speaking so you can lead your audience through an unforgettable experience, making your conversion rates like way higher, right? Skyrocket, some would say. They're going to cover the perfect event structure, learning the exact blueprint you need to create a virtual masterclass that resonates and converts. And they're going to also talk about filling the room with eager buyers. So they're going to share some insider secrets on how to pack your masterclass with eager buyers using their sold out masterclass toolkit. So this works even if you don't have a huge audience and you don't want to pay for ads. So after the workshop, Angie and Gitte will be gifting this toolkit exclusively to our attendees. So that's a huge bonus for you guys. And if this resonates with you, I highly recommend that you dive into this because this can, like, I have seen this double clients' revenue. I've seen it quadruple clients' revenue when it's done right. Of course, some of us struggle. I have in the past. I've like, okay, I'm going to do a masterclass, and then like it falls flat, right? And many of us have had that experience, and that can be frustrating, and it can be like you lose all enthusiasm for doing it at that point, right? You're like, screw this, I'm not doing this, it's a waste of my time. No one even comes, right? What I found, like, okay, so there's two ladies live here. What I found in my business is these monthly classes, so many people watch the recording, right? So just because people don't attend live doesn't mean they're not watching, right? So I'm going to hand it over to Angie and Gitte and let you guys run with it. And I've got my pen. I am taking notes because this is good info.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. Appreciate you having us on your stage. Yay. I am operating on the fly on my phone. So I'm trying to, I don't get to see faces. So we like to do things live, interactive. So if you have anything you want to share, throw it in the chat throughout this time. But I'm going to start you off here, first of all, with a question. How many of you have a high ticket offer? Oh, thank you, Michelle. Michelle's going to monitor the chat, so load it up for her. When I say high ticket offer, tell me in the room, like, are you guys game with that? I assume there could be people here with low ticket offers with a whole business around that. I would assume a lot of you probably have high ticket offers. Michelle, I don't know if you know most of your
What do
crew.
you define a high ticket offer as?
That's the next question. Exactly. So, what we like to consider a high ticket offer is 10,000 or more. It depends on your industry. So if you might be, 3,000 might be a high ticket offer for you. That's fine. What we're talking about today works for anything that is right, right around that $3,000 mark or more. Because people, and again, it depends on your audience, tend to want more know, like, and trust from you before they pull out their wallet book and hand you, a few $1,000s. Like, that's a big deal. And again, it depends on your clientele. Some have no problem. They carry thousands in their wallet every day and it's not a big deal. And others, you just need more, they just need more time with you. And that's the magic of the masterclass, is giving that time to your ideal audience so that they can know, like, and trust you, and and open up their wallet and make the investment in themselves is what they're doing when they pay you for your high ticket offer. So does that make sense? High ticket offer, 3,000 and above. Ideally, 10,000 is a little bit better. And we like that number because if you've got 10 buyers in the room and they all buy at 10,000, that's $100,000 day. And it's that fast. So that's the power of this. And if you get a bunch of people in the room, even more and more, that's where you can get into the several hundred thousands and millions. So let's get our brain around the high ticket offer as a framework for the rest of this conversation. Here's the next question. How many of you are currently selling? How are you currently selling your high ticket offer? Are you on the phones, one-on-one, talking to people most likely? Are you already doing events? Anyone here already doing events of any kind? We're going to get into that too. Because basically, for those of you selling one-on-one, you're on the phones all the time. How many of you would love to not be on the phone so much? Would it be, yeah. So think of this concept as, if you get all your ideal audience into one room and talk to them all at the same time, not only does that save everybody time, it's more fun, and you make you tell the offer you offer, whatever it is that you need to explain to them once. They're all in the room, they all hear it, and then you can interact live with it right there, and everyone's learning from one another, because someone will ask a question and you'll be sitting there like, oh, that's a good question, I want to know that too. And vice versa. You'll put something in the chat and someone else is like, oh, I never thought of that. And it becomes this group dynamic, and they start selling themselves on the concept. That's the magic of the masterclass as we teach it. Is that making sense, Michelle? Okay, beautiful. Gitte, are you able to get on the screen? Because I know you were having some technical challenges. I'm going to let Gitte share a little bit of her story about masterclasses to set us up a little bit more here. Are you there, Gitte? Maybe not. So Gitte and I work together, and it's just a beautiful dynamic. We have a podcast, Momentum Maker Podcast. Okay, Gitte, you're muted if you're trying to talk.
Okay, I just figured that out.
Right,
I was worrying about my video because, like Angie, I'm on my phone because mysteriously the video wasn't working on Zoom on my brand new computer. I don't know why. But thank you for the warm welcome, Michelle. We are so thrilled to be here today. Yeah.
So talk to us about the minions.
Yeah. Let me talk about the minions. Because when I first started out in my business as an entrepreneur, maybe many of you recognize this, I was really struggling. Like, do you remember when you first started out as an entrepreneur, what that was like? How, maybe you remember the feeling of struggling, trying to figure it out and making money and just making it all, fit. And I wasn't only an entrepreneur starting out, I was also Oh, thank you, Michelle. Thank you. I am still a single mom, 24/7. So one thing I was struggling, I didn't have any money and I didn't have any time. So I had to figure out how to do things a little differently. Have you ever tried that in your business? Does it sound familiar? Does anybody think it sounds familiar? I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, but anyways. And to be honest, what I was feeling, have you ever watched that movie called Despicable Me, with the little yellow minions running around? Well, that was what I was feeling. I was feeling like a little crazy minion running around, not really knowing what to do in my business and how to make money and not spend a lot of time doing it. So that was what I was doing. And then one day I was looking through Facebook, just scrolling through, and an ad popped up. Have you ever tried that? Been on Facebook? These ads pop up. Well, anyways, I clicked on it, and it was about this guy who was doing live virtual master classes. And I was curious. I thought, hey, it's free. I'm gonna try this. So I clicked on it, and I ended up actually buying his program. And that's actually why we're here today, Angie. That's why we ended up doing live virtual masterclasses, because it turned out that it was really what moved my business and made such a huge difference in my business. So yeah, I love live virtual masterclasses, that's for sure. And it's also what moved me from being this little yellow marketing minion, as I like to call myself, into being into embracing that mindset of being a marketing millionaire instead. Taking that leap, just doing it and knowing what direction you wanted to go. So that's what I ended up doing. So I guess that's why we're here today.
Yeah, from marketing minion to marketing millionaire. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
by using virtual masterclasses. So, how many of you out there have ever been to a 4-hour virtual event? Maybe it was a masterclass. Maybe it was a workshop. It might have been a challenge. It might have been some sort of a training, maybe an online seminar, a conference, a summit, like where it goes on and on for hours rather than just like a 45-minute webinar or something. So when we're talking virtual events and we're talking masterclass, notice that, like, when you just say virtual event, notice the variety. Like, the brain can go all many different places, and they all have a purpose. There's nothing wrong with any of the styles. It's what do you have a plan in place with the way you're running your event? And so, and each of them has a different price of entry too. Because a masterclass is it's 4 hours. It sounds like a long time. Does that sound like a long time to anybody? It sounds long, but when you're in the room with your ideal audience, it is a blast. It is fun. Like, you're all in there with the same purpose. Like today, like right here, we're all in this room. We want to like embrace masterclasses and come out, transformed into this millionaire, or instead of minion, marketing minion and marketing millionaire is the transformation that we want to give you today in this conversation. So the difference between a masterclass and a webinar, should we go through that, Gitte? Do you want to talk on that?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it. So there are several differences. So let's just start by diving into them. So one big difference is that it's such a short time frame. Like we were talking about, the masterclass, it's 4 hours, and webinar is typically 1 hour, sometimes a little longer. That's one of the big differences. And another big difference is that webinars, they're usually pre-recorded. They're not live. Whereas the masterclass, it sort of says it says live virtual masterclasses, so it's live. So that's another big difference. Yeah.
The live piece is really important. So if you're taking notes, make sure you put in big letters live, Live. If you're in the chat, type in the word live. That is the trick here. I don't know. That's probably not the right word. Trick is not the right word, but there's all these little ninja moves, little tiny ninja moves. This is one of them, because in our world, just like what we talked about in the very beginning, a lot of people, we're all busy. Like we're all running around building our businesses. I get that. And then we're starting to get used to like, I'll catch the recording later. When you're doing a master class, the way we are in this framework that we're talking about today, it's very important that it's live. And some webinars are live. And how many of you like being on one of those webinars that it's pre-recorded? You're sitting there watching it and they're acting like it's live. And at some point, the first one they did was live. That like, okay, if I type my name in the chat, like they're not going to call my name because it's not live. You know what I mean? Does anybody else get annoyed with that pre-recorded pretend live thing?
Yeah.
There's a difference. Yeah. There is a difference. So a masterclass is truly live. Now pre-recorded webinars have a place. Definitely have a place. So when you're talking, again, we open this with a high ticket offer mindset. That's where these live virtual masterclasses come into place. So the word live, don't overlook that. It's very important. What else? What other differences?
Another big difference is around the conversion rate, because for a webinar, because you sign up for it, and usually it goes on in, I don't know, a couple of hours, or around that time frame. And the conversion rate, if you're really lucky, it's around 3%. Do any of you recognize this conversion rate? Does it sound
3% or less is kind of the typical?
It's actually a good number, Angie. It's not, it's good. It's pretty good for a webinar. However, if you're doing a live virtual masterclass, because of the interaction, the 4 hours, it being live and back and forth, questions and answers, whatever, we usually have a conversion rate around 25 to 30%. So that's a big difference.
So listen up to some of the nuances today to see how we can get you that.
Question.
Yes.
So like we're here today in Zoom, right? And it's it's interactive, right? And we can chat and all that stuff, right? I do also have a piece of software called Easy Webinar, but that doesn't allow people to, like, you can't see anybody else, you just see the speaker.
Exactly.
Is that not a good idea?
You want face to camera. You want to be able to open the gallery and see everybody's faces. You want to encourage them to be on camera so that they're seen as well. Very important. Very important. Thank you for bringing that up, Michelle.
Okay, great.
That's why that's another nuance, yes, to the whole live piece, because even though a webinar could be live, it's just the speaker on stage. There's no way that you can see anybody's faces. And so that is another layer to this. The face to camera for everybody, very important. And you guys, tell me in the chat, like, there's a difference. I know someone did make a comment about how even though you get the recording later of, some of these things that you sign up for, but you don't even necessarily watch them because it's more fun to be there live. And you're interactive. It's amazing what you can get out of the chat. It's amazing just to show up on camera and be present in a room with other people, knowing that these are all live people right now. This is happening now. There's just something powerful about that. And so we use that to our advantage in these live virtual masterclasses. So make sure you've written down the word live. Next, you want to talk, Gitte, about the 4 hours that we do? Go ahead.
I was going to mention interaction because it's so super, super, super important. So I just wanted to stress that. And you don't get that interaction like in webinars, like you were talking about, Angie. But in these 4-hour masterclasses, you get a lot of interaction. You can just raise your hand and say, "Hey, I have a question." We do a lot of Q&As during these masterclasses, so that's a really important point. And it also makes people show up. It really increases the show up rate because people feel like, hey, there's value in this. I'm gonna get value from participating in this. So that's important. Yeah.
And there's a lot of science between that interaction. Like there's you guys have all heard the science. If you have an actual piece of paper, a notebook, and you're taking notes, like there's science behind you will learn, it'll sink in more when you're actually taking notes. There's a whole nother layer when you're showing up with your face in a room of even though it's virtual, there's a whole nother layer of learning just there, being able to nod and see other people. And then the chat, all of that layered together deepens your learning. I think it's like up to like 70% of retention rate. The more you can interact in various ways. And yeah, there's someone in the chat, the brain, I can't read it all, but it looks brilliant.
Yeah.
The brain needs you to do something with the information to remember it. Exactly. Our physical body and just the movement alone, like everybody just wave at the camera right now. Like that is, now you feel more connected, like little things like that. So that, go ahead, Gitte.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and also listening to all the other participants and their questions and their comments. It's really, really valuable because, oftentimes other people will ask the question you didn't know you were carrying around. so they're gonna ask the questions you didn't think about. So it's really, yeah.
Exactly. So in terms of structure of the masterclass, does that make sense so far, what we've talked about, like the difference between some of the different other types of virtual events, especially a webinar? Webinars come up a lot. That's why we kind of looked at that one a little bit deeper. Any questions around structure of why we're doing a 4-hour masterclass, just for the sake of time? Like we can go really deep in this, a lot of ninja stuff, but we want to make sure to get a few other points in here. All right. If you guys are getting that structure, that's making sense, put your favorite emoji in the chat and notice the interaction. This is part of a masterclass. Having them just something simple. Yeah. An emoji, a letter, a word, just to emphasize the points. So we're getting lots of smiley faces, emojis, all sorts of fun stuff. All right. I don't want to lose anybody here. All right. We're all in. Looks like everyone's in. I think again, I'm on my phone, so it's hard to see the chat.
Yeah, me too.
But this is very unusual. We don't normally do it on the phone, but look, that's what's cool with the virtual. You can like slice it all sorts of different ways, and we're working as a team here to communicate. Zoom, yeah, it's not fun on the phone.
Yeah, it does. But just figuring out and improvising, making it work, and that's sort of actually also what a masterclass is about. Yeah.
Okay, Gitte brings up a really good point. If you're taking notes with that paper and that notebook, write down the word fun, because that's what this is for you. These are your favorite people in the world. These are your future clients, potentially, or they showed up to learn from you. Like that's amazing. That is so cool. Have fun with that, and so that kind of gets into the whole speaking realm. Like some people get really nervous about speaking and getting in front of people, an audience or whatever. That's a whole nother conversation. But if you write down the word fun, take your eyes off yourself. It's another one to write. That's a writer downer. Take your eyes off yourself. Just stay lean back and have fun, just like you're having a sales call with someone. That's really what this is. It's just a masterclass is a big sales call. Kinda. I mean, you kind of look at it that way. It depends on your brain, on how you process things, but I'm just giving you a few ideas. All right. So how are we doing with marketing minion versus marketing millionaire? Are we one step closer, marketing millionaire? I think we're marching on to the 6 and 7 figure days. Awesome. All right. Is there anyone here? We're just going to talk really briefly about high ticket offers, because if you don't have a high ticket offer, we highly suggest just to get one, like create one and have a master class and just have fun with it and see what happens. Because if you're serving clients on whatever level, there's always a way to take your offer and find a way to make it higher ticket. And when you do that, and then pair that with a masterclass, a live virtual masterclass, magic can happen fast. Just like we talked about earlier, if you've got a $10,000 offer and you've got 10 buyers in the room that, raise their hand and say, yeah, I want that. That's $100,000, like in 4 hours. Very doable. It's done all the time. How many of you have, I know the answer already. How many of you have been invited to some sort of a seminar, event, virtual something in the last week? People are doing it everywhere in various ways. But and again, like we talked about, it's out there, it's working, but the masterclass piece, the way we do it, turns those high ticket offers into 6-figure days fast once you get this dialed in. All right, so how many of you, if any of you don't have a high ticket offer, raise your hand or get out your paper and commit now. Are you convinced you need a high ticket offer? Because the masterclass is going to help you sell those. So keep that in your brain. Anybody here doing 5-day challenges? That's another one that we briefly mentioned earlier, but a 5-day challenge is, don't go there yet. If you've not done a masterclass and mastered your 6-figure day, start with this half-day. It's a half-day masterclass, 4 hours, it's a half-day masterclass. Because if you try, because it looks all sexy, like, oh, you do these 5-day challenges. That's the next level of a masterclass. Write that down, because that's gold. Because people get all sucked into that sexy, like, oh, I'm going to do a 5-day masterclass. The amount of work involved to do that without a team or without knowing how to, like, you got to be really good to get people to show up 5 days in a row. It's hard enough to get people to show up for a half-day masterclass.
What did you say to write down? You said what?
What did I say, Gitte?
You said four. You were talking about 4-hour classes versus 5-day.
Exactly. If you haven't done a 5-day challenge yet, you need to start doing a 4-hour masterclass, because there's so much involved with doing a challenge, or it could be a 3-day challenge, doesn't matter. But the effort in getting people to show up, and you need to create that engagement every day. It's a lot of effort. So always start out by doing the 4-hour masterclass.
And once
next level, yeah.
Yes, once you've done at least 6 figures, at least in a half-day masterclass, a 4-hour masterclass, then you could consider a 5-day challenge if you wanted to. You don't have to. The thing, and here's another thing to, like, write this down and get this in your brain, like really embody this, is you don't have to make it too complicated. If you've got an audience that already know, likes, and trusts you, and you come up with a masterclass idea, you literally could have one this weekend. Like, what is today? Wednesday. You could say, hey, everybody, let's jump on Zoom on Saturday or Friday, or it doesn't take long to organize it. You just make a Zoom link, get it out to everybody, and see who shows up. That's how fast you can even test this stuff. You don't need a 7-day launch if you have the audience. That's the thing. Because that's what you need, is a high ticket offer and an audience. And usually people have one or the other. And it works with both. It flies once you have both of those dialed in. All right. Are we?
Yeah, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about immersion, because what you do at the masterclass is actually you create an immersion, and that's why you need the 4 hours. And if you're thinking, hey, why immersion? Because immersion causes conversion. So you need the 4 hours. You need to create that transformation for your audience. You need to move them from being marketing minions actually to being marketing millionaires. Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? Create an immersion. What does that mean?
Go ahead, Gitte.
Yeah. To create an immersion is that if you're doing a webinar, it's not like we're bashing webinars, because they're great for some things, but in a webinar you don't get immersion. Usually you're not in front of your computer when you're doing it. Perhaps you're walking, you're just listening to it. Whereas at the masterclass, you have 4 hours. Usually you will be in front of your computer, taking notes, asking questions. And that's where you can actually create that identity shift. We talk about an identity shift. We're going to talk about it a little more later on. But the point is to move people to create that transformation. They come into your event being one person, like being a marketing minion, not really knowing what kind of marketing to do, or where to take your business perhaps. And we want them to leave as a marketing millionaire, or it could be something else depending on what kind of business you have. So
that's our example for today for you guys all, is the marketing minion versus transforming you into marketing millionaires. That's our version of a transformation for this masterclass. You would have your own specific one for what you're doing with your group, but it's time in the room with your audience. Immerse them in the content. So how long does it take an apple tree to grow apples? Like, does it happen like this year? Like, if you plant a tree, will you have apples by this time next year? Yeah. Louise says years. It takes years to get apples to start growing on a tree. If you know what you're doing, you're nurturing it right, and it's planted in the right spot, and you got the right variety, and the birds don't come pick off all the buds. And there's all sorts of nonsense that can happen along the way. But just like your offer, it takes time for you to help your clients get that end result. So you're taking them, whenever they're buying your high ticket offer, that's going to look different for everybody, but it typically is going to take some amount of time, just like apples take time. And so how actually, in the chat, why don't you write this down? How long does it take for you to get a result for your high ticket clients? For those of you that have high ticket offers, like, is your high ticket offer like is it a half? Actually, you could deliver a high ticket offer in a half-day masterclass. You could deliver your high ticket offer over 6 weeks. Maybe it's 6 months. Like, everyone's going to be different on that. Because it depends on your offer, it depends on your audience, it depends on a lot of things on that time. And so just like it takes time to get apples, it also takes time to get your clients results. It also takes time to convince them and help them understand your process. Because in a master class, you're introducing your process to them, and they need to be able to understand, and know, like, and trust, build that know, like, and trust, so that they, like, oh my gosh, yeah, Angie and Gitte can get me to this place. Or Michelle, oh my gosh, I got to invest with Michelle because she's going to take me from, here to having my books all perfectly cleaned up and beautiful, and I don't have to think about it anymore, or whatever. Michelle can fill in that blank. But it takes time, not only to get the result, it takes time to convince them sometimes, especially for high ticket, to open up the wallet. Here's 10,000, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, whatever your offer is. It's that immersion of you, that know, like, and trust. And it just takes time. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question? Did we get that? Do we need to go deeper on that? Good, Gitte.
So there is one question in here from Louise.
I was gonna mention that. Yeah, please, Michelle.
Just, how do you come up with 4 hours worth of content?
That's a good one.
You want me to take that one, Gitte? I'll take that one.
Okay.
Wait, see, Gee and I have fun, going back and forth. That's actually, if you're taking notes, that's actually a writer down or two. Have some, have a host on stage with you, so that it's not just you. Because if it's
Mhm.
you for 4 hours talking to these people, that can get a little hard. But if you had somebody helping along and seeing you, being like a co-host to you, it could be an employee that you have just to kind of help bounce ideas, like someone's reading the chat and like making sure like, hey, Angie, like so and so said this in the chat, because I'm not looking at the chat, especially that I'm on my phone. but but then I would have like Gitte or Michelle right now they're reading off the questions so that I can focus on being on camera, and vice versa. With Gitte, the same thing. So part of it is there's a okay, open your notebook. I'm gonna give you a really quick framework because we can go deep into this.
Yeah,
But
let's do it.
I'm gonna give you a really quick one. Um, so again, I like to think of it kind of like a sales call. Like when you like if you have a framework for your sales calls, you probably do if you're on the phone, I'm sure you do. If you're on the phone making sales, you have a framework. Can you just amplify that into an event? Like, and really, this is homework for you. Like, write that down as a to do. Like, really think through that, because in a master class, because we're doing the immersion, we're going deep with them, and we're interacting. We're knowing exactly what their questions are. We're knowing exactly what they're thinking. If you're doing your sales right, you do not move to the next point in your sales process until you know they got the first point. And we've so far, what have we gone through so far? We've talked about the structure and you'll have to help me, Gitte, all the things we've talked about so
Hmm.
far. But we've talked about the structure of the master class, the way we do them in a half day, 4 hour event versus the webinar and all these other type of events. We've talked about the structure. I don't know, what have we all talked about? My brain just went flipping around. But
No,
it's basically we went through the different points already, and we didn't move on until we knew you guys have high ticket offers. Okay. And if anybody said, I don't have a high ticket offer, that would be, if there was a bunch of people in the room saying, well, I don't have a high ticket offer, we pause there. We don't move on until we get those questions answered and they are convinced, okay, you know what? Makes sense. We need a high ticket offer. You can't do that in a recorded thing. Like you have to just assume they get it and we just move on. But in a masterclass, you can slow down and meet your clients or potential clients at the point that they're at. And it's great intel and data. And it's amazing how when you start looking at a masterclass from that perspective, you'll fill in 4 hours fast. Does that help? Does that make sense? Let's see how much. I'll let Michelle decide that one because based on timing. Um,
Yeah, sure, Louise, you can go for it.
Okay, so I guess really where I'm stuck is I used to be a classical musician years ago, and a master class is where you go to your teacher and everybody plays something and he or she critiques it and everybody learns from everybody else. So I'm having a problem understanding how you deliver the content because my context is obviously not correct for what you guys are talking about. Can you tell me what is the content that you deliver? Do you deliver content about the product that you're trying to sell? Is that, or
okay, so when you come in, thank you for the question, by the way, Louise. That was awesome. I really appreciate that. And that's why we kind of opened it with the different types of virtual events, because everyone has it. When you say the word virtual event, everyone has a different concept. When you say the word masterclass, everyone has a different idea of what that means. It's nebulous. So with our masterclasses that we do, typically there's an ask campaign ahead of time. So there's a result. Everyone's showing up for this half day masterclass to get some sort of result. Like today, you showed up to learn how to, what was the goal for today? How did we title this one? because we have different ways we can swing this. We titled this one as How to Use a Live Virtual Masterclass to Grow Your Business. And so you guys all showed up because you wanted to learn how to do that. That is the end result. By the end of the presentation today, that is our goal, is to show you how we're using live virtual masterclasses to grow your business. And part of that is the transformational speaking, the event structure, and how you get people to show up. These are all big conversations. We're giving you an overview of a bigger conversation. But in short, in terms of what you're saying at that masterclass, and Gitte, you can jump in at any time, is like you're going to have typically an ask campaign ahead of time, and you're going to know what they're showing up for. Like we showed up today, we didn't know, we had no idea where everybody was at in terms of where they wanted to go with the conversation. So we have a very loose outline here that we're following to help you get to that transformation from marketing minion to marketing millionaire. And what was I going to say? I'm going to say something, Gitte. What was I going to say? I lost my thought.
I was
the question.
I can take it for a while, Angie.
Yeah, I've been talking.
If you listen to the beginning, Angie was asking a lot of questions like, do you have a high ticket offer? Have you ever watched live virtual masterclass and stuff like that? And that is sort of what we also do when we do masterclasses for our clients, just sort of feel out the room. So we know where the audience is at, and then we sort of adjust the content to that actually. So it's a lot of,
So it's a little bit of speaking on the fly, and it's not about the product. It's about, okay, get your notebook out. This is another writer downer. It is not about your product. People don't want your product. And all due respect. They do, but they don't know it yet. It's not about the product. You're not going through, it's not like a webinar they go through. You get this, and here's your bonus. It's none of that. Actually, in our master classes, we don't even sell anything. Like there are no buy buttons in our master classes. How is that for a cool change in virtual events, right? You can't buy anything. You can't. And people actually, that's a big trend right now. People really respect that. They're coming here to get the content they want to know. So your ask campaign ahead of time will tell you what you're going to talk about. Because the more you know ahead of time when they show up, those are your objections. Just like, when you're on the phone with sales, you've got, typical objections that everybody has, because you've sold your product so many times. People jump off when there's an offer. Exactly. Yeah, that was a comment. Yeah, they do. So as soon as they sniff, a buy button is about to come out. They just fail. And a lot of times, I'll forget it. As far as webinars, there's not always enough fluff in there. Like people try to get as much as they can out of it. But a masterclass, you go deep, and you just don't go. You have to get okay with that. It's a style of speaking that's really more, it's not canned speech at all. It's like you're hanging out in the room with your friend virtually, and your potential clients. You love them. You want them to get it. And so you answer that, you ask for feedback, you make sure they're getting it before you move on. And you come into it with the idea that they're struggling with X, Y, and Z because you asked them ahead of time, and this is what people were responding with. That is how you get your content. You just decide, okay, I've got 4 hours, and you have to just kind of map it out. You've got 4 hours to talk. Typically in the beginning, there's a little bit of your story and kind of why all of this is even happening. While delivering content. This comes into speaker training. Like there's a lot of, and you find your way along the way. The biggest thing is just do one. You learn a lot. Just do one. But you kind of you talk about your origin story a little bit. You talk about you talk about your system on how you get people the result. You're not talking about a product. You're talking about your system. And if you don't know what that is for you, write it down. That's another homework. Because you have a process and people want to know your process. And like, we're trying to explain our process to you guys in this quick amount of time. Like, this is not a 4-hour masterclass. This is just kind of a brief overview. Am I getting it, Louise? Did that answer? Gitte, you can jump in. I'm gonna look at the chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in. So what you don't want to be doing at your masterclass is giving people a lot of information. That's not the purpose. The purpose is creating that transformation. And like it could be helping your clients go from being marketing minions to being marketing millionaires, or it could be anything you're doing, or the example that Angie mentioned about Michelle's clients, or it could be something entirely different. If you're an investment banker, let's say that you have some kind of financial investment offer for clients, and you have clients coming in, being hesitant to invest in stocks and being a little worried about losing money. And then you actually want them to go through this transformation where at the end of the masterclass, they're just eager to dive in and just ready to invest, and they know they can do this. That is the kind of transformation we're talking about. Not giving information because, you can go to Google, or you can go to, I don't know, some AI tool, whatever, and you can get all the information in the world. It's easy to get, and it's free actually. But the transformation, that's a difficult part.
Well, here's a perfect example. Louise, you chat back at us. Have we transformed your thinking about masterclass? Because you came into this event thinking you had your perspective of a masterclass. We all have one. And so we're working on trying to get you to numerous questions. We love questions. Hey, Louise. So the goal is to get your mind around this version of masterclass. So Louise, we'd love more questions. What you got next?
So I'm thinking about my big ticket offer, which is a 12-month program. The client is the parents. The actual person who receives the program is a child with learning differences. And so people are a little uncomfortable signing a 12-month program where they know they're required to spend $8,000 that they have to pay for over 12 equal payments. And so I'm kind of like, what content do I put in a masterclass for parents that will make them want to buy a 12-month program? So I'm just trying to figure out
what. Well, okay. Again, get your notebook out. Write this down. What is Louise is ready? Yay! So, what is the results that you're offering? And write that down. If you don't, and you may not even have it articulated. I'm just talking in general for everybody here. Like, as you're listening to this, if you don't know, can articulate the actual result that you're giving your client, succinctly, because you maybe know globally, but is there a succinct marketing message okay, here's what, when you enroll in this program, the result is X. What is the big, bright, beautiful future? That's what people want. That's what the immersion is for, is to get them to understand that whatever that bright, beautiful future is, they don't care about, Jimmy's got to do 20 jumping jacks, 3 times a day, or whatever that program is. They just want to know at the end of this, my kid's going to be able to read at the grade level that we need them to read at, whatever the result is. I don't know what the result is. And it's so easy as the business owner to forget that. It's so easy to fall into that trap of, what you're going to get this, and he's going to spend 3 weeks doing this. Yeah. And it's so easy as the owner to fall into that. Always remember, they're buying the result. And when you can get them to, for us here in this conversation, masterclass, the result for you here, when you do your own masterclass, you're not going to have to be on the phone selling one-on-one anymore. If you can get an audience to show up in a room, you can, that's one conversation you have with everybody, build that group energy together and convince them through that masterclass. There's a whole, again, it's the content plan is their objection. What is it that they, why wouldn't they want this result? Not why don't they want to part with their $12,000? Why wouldn't they want this result? Like, they want the result. So what's stopping them from getting that result? And then you build content around all those objections. Does that make sense? Did I get that clear enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And another technique to back that up is getting them to make those micro commitments. So constantly getting them to make micro commitments. It's like we've been doing through this presentation, like asking you constantly to acknowledge and say, yeah, I got the message. So constantly getting those micro commitments, because they will add up. So at the end, you made, I don't know, 50 micro commitments, and that makes it a lot easier to say yes at the end. So yeah.
All right. Any other questions on that? Wonderful questions. We love questions. And
Yeah.
that's what you want in your masterclass. You want them interacting. You want them really thinking like, oh, I didn't realize I was doing that. Oh, I get why I need to do this now. And it's that result. Again, anchor the result, that bright, beautiful future, and just keep directing their attention to that. That's what we're all going for. And so if that's the result, and you really get them to understand, it doesn't matter how much the investment is at that point. They're so invested, like, I just want this thing. And in 4 hours, you can get there. You can get them emotionally involved for them to make their own decision. And that's the goal. And it's, again, I like to put that sales hat on, because that's what you do in a sales call. And it's like these different gates that you're trying to go through, and what the typical objections are, and you're ready for them. You know typically what they're going to ask, and you hit them, with it. They may not admit it that they've got these objections, but that way you can hit it in the master class. They don't even know it's coming, or that it's there, and that it even existed before, but ahead of time. Your clients better than they do. Like, bottom line, there you go. And you're just think about all the different objections you've gotten when you're selling your program, and just build some content around it and help them decide why it's not a problem. And here's, again, the bright, beautiful future. All right. Are we good on that one? I know Louise said thumbs up, I believe, on that one. Or any other questions? We're open. Where are we at?
Got about 5 minutes, 4 minutes left.
4 minutes left. Okay.
So yeah, if there's a little drop of gold you want to drop, that'd be awesome.
Okay. All right, Gitte, what do you got?
Yeah, I was I was just scrolling through a content thinking of what we need to mention. And I think a very important point is that you can actually you can combine doing webinars with doing masterclasses or live virtual masterclasses. So it's not either do this or do that, because it's different offers. Because the webinar typically low ticket offer, whereas our live virtual masterclasses is high ticket offer. And yeah, sometimes we do the math on this one. Do you want me to do that, Angie? So if like you are selling a low ticket offer at $100, or you are selling the 10K offer at your live virtual masterclasses, so perhaps you would, you're gonna have to help me on this math, Angie.
Okay, so this brings up a great point. And another writer downer: avoid math on a virtual conference. Avoid
God, that's hilarious.
Like,
I can find the numbers in my notes if it just
avoid math at all costs. Because and what you could do too is you grab a piece of paper. And you don't have to make it fancy. Like, literally just grab a piece of blank paper and write on it. And like, I could write 10. I dropped it. 10.
I got the numbers now. It's 1,000 offers at $100 each, or 10 offers at 10K each. You get the same amount anyways. Yeah. So that's
Okay,
how you create six-figure. Yeah.
take note, everybody. Where did your brain just go with the math? Like the math just throws it's a different brain. You want to keep, and okay, this is a writer downer. You want to keep them in that emotional brain. When you throw math in, that's logical. Now all that work you just did to get the emotion going and like, oh, I want that bright, beautiful future. What's this about? 10 times 100, what? And so the brain is competing now. So I hope that this illustrated exactly what you don't want to do. We were trying to come up with all sorts of ideas to help you guys get these concepts. I think that was brilliant, Guy. That was so perfect.
I love that. It makes me think about like, because, math is such a big part of what we do at Alchemy. And it's like, how do you keep people in the emotional brain when you're actually talking about math? So, yeah, it's interesting.
Money's
awesome.
emotional by itself.
Totally. Yeah.
So what's your solution, Michelle? I'll put
I'm
you on
not
the
sure
hot seat.
yet. Like our kind of like standard webinar has been about cash flow, because cash flow is the number one problem for entrepreneurs, right? Like, and they don't understand that there's a difference between cash flow and revenue generation, right? So it's explaining that difference and some small tweaks they can make, right? But I'm really interested to just spend some time and think about like what is the actual transformation that we're providing in a live masterclass. Like I want to test this out now.
What? So I'm going to draw your brain because you're almost there. You're getting there. Really focus on the note we took earlier. What is the bright, beautiful future? So
Right.
having a cash machine, the cash flow, that's great. But there's something beyond that that's emotionally anchored. Like, what is that cash flow going to give them? That's what you build into your masterclass, and get that emotional piece in there and help them see their future, help them step into that future where that cash is flowing. Oh my gosh, Michelle got my cash machine up and running, and I'm, traveling the world, whatever it is that the bright, beautiful future is. That's the main focus. And this is not something that's just overnight. You just kind of like, oh, you have it down. Here's another writer downer. Don't just do one masterclass and say that it doesn't work, because that's not how it works. I'll end with this one. I like to talk about pancakes. You guys have ever made pancakes? You have to get that pan all heated up, and you make the batter. Like every time you make pancakes, it's like the batter is a little bit different, or the pan might be different or hotter than on one day, or maybe you use a different oil. So the first pancake you make, what ends up happening to that?
It's yucky. It's ugly.
It's for the dog.
and exactly, throw it to the dog or whatever. And so after the first one, you're like, it goes forever. Like it might be edible, it might not be. Okay, the second one's a little better, and then the third one, but the fourth, third, fourth, like they're humming, like they're the pan's at the right temperature, like you're cranking them out, and it's just a lot easier and more edible at that point. Think about that with your master classes. The first one, this is why people tend to not do them, is because they tried, I tried that. Like once? No. You will not fail with a masterclass, because you're going to learn a lot about your audience. You're going to get data. You're going to learn. That's the big thing, is you're getting data about your people and where they're at and how to speak to them. You're going to get so much feedback back during those 4 hours that's just priceless for your sales journey. And if you're someone that loves talking to your clients, which I imagine you are, it's going to be addictive if you like to be on, show up in a room and have a party with them and help them see that bright, beautiful future. That's what your business is there for. And a masterclass is just a beautiful way to get that emotional brain going. And then we're out of time. So, we could go deep on this stuff. Like you can tell we enjoy helping business owners make sure we get that transformation in. Get your business. You created your business for a reason. You're on this planet with your business for a purpose. You are called, and master classes. It might be for some of you, but for some of you, it's perfect. So if the big thing that always comes up is, all right, I'm going to do this. If you're feeling that, again, get your notebook out, and I want you to write down what is the date of your master class. This is how it happens. Get your calendar out, commit to a date, pick a name. We're just going to blast through this because that third piece is, how are you going to fill it? How are you going to fill this master class? And that's where we've got the solution for you. It's a gift today for showing up. And I know we're out of time. So Michelle, I'll let you take it away unless Gitte, you have anything else you want to add?
Nope.
No, this is awesome. I'm super excited. I have several different businesses, and so I'm thinking there's quite a few master classes that I could create. I feel a little bit intimidated by 4 hours, but I can get over that, right? Like, so yeah, thank you so much. I think that my team will send out the gift to everybody who registered. So I'll make sure that Louise and Mary Beth, I'll make sure you guys get the gift because you attended live. I don't know about everybody else. I'm sure they will. Magically, it happens by my team in the background. And I can't wait to look at that. I'm really interested in how we fill the masterclass. So I'm going to be tuning into that. I would highly recommend you guys, Mary Beth and Louise, to follow Angie and Gitte online and their company online, because they deliver a lot of value. As you can tell, like, they're not just about selling you something, which I love. I'm for sure one of those people that the minute the offer drops, I either leave the room or I'm out. Like, we'll make sure that we send contact details out to you guys as well, so that you can get in touch with them. But yeah, this is awesome. Thank you so much for your time. You delivered incredible value, so I'm super appreciative.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us. It's been an honor.
That's awesome.
And thank you to the audience for being such a great audience. We
Yeah, and
appreciate it.
they do have a podcast. What's your podcast?
Momentum Makers podcast.
Momentum Makers podcast.
There you go. So that's a great place to get some education.
Lot of gold we got there.
Yeah, we do. We do. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I'll let everybody go. We kept it a little bit longer than 1 o'clock, but I will talk to you guys soon. See you later.